Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahümme salli ala seyyidina Muhammedin ve ala ali seyyidina Muhammed. Um, Last week we read the fourth and fifth points in the 29th word, second aim. I'm quite into the second aim actually. So we're looking at different proofs, I guess, for why eternal happiness is necessarily existent. So we had some homework to think about this fifth point, if anyone would like to share any thoughts. So we especially looked at this first sentence, which is quite long. But those who have looked closely into the realities of creation consider that the unlimited potentialities included in the essence of man's spirit and the unlimited abilities contained in those potentialities and the endless desires arising from those abilities and the infinite hopes resulting from those endless desires and the limitless thoughts and ideas born of those infinite hopes are hands stretched out towards eternal happiness, which is beyond this manifest world, are eyes gazing at it, that they are turned towards it. One thing that conversations about this particular point that have brought up, especially in the near past, has been how we deal with loss, especially of young people. We say that they had dreams, they had so much potential. So I feel like this fifth point is very relatable in that sense when we see babies or children dying. Our immediate reaction is, they had so much potential. They didn't even live their life yet. Especially if, they're more, I guess, like specific scenarios. But this is true for ourselves too, I think. I often think about myself and the path that I've taken in life and where I am and what other things could have happened. Obviously, we have a limited time here, so it feels like there's just so much we want to do and not enough time to do all of those things and to pursue all of those different ideas and potentialities. To read all the books you want to read, to become better at all the things you want to become better at, etc. So all of those desires, he says, are hands stretched out towards eternal happiness, and eyes gazing at it are turned towards it. So this, the man's nature, which cannot lie, and the definite, intense, unwavering desire for eternal happiness in his nature inspire the conscience with certainty concerning the realization of eternal happiness. One thing that we kind of mentioned last week and the week before was when we think about these things and we also think that this is the end or you only get one shot, that's what makes it so painful. So I think about all the things that could have been or all the things that I would like to do but don't have the time or the resources or whatever else to do. If this is my life and that's it, when I die, it's done, all of that desire and potential and ideas and thoughts pain me. But having this eternal happiness, this eternity, is a calming thought. And one thing that I had brought up was it's not like sensical to have all of these potentialities and limitless thoughts and stuff if we're going to just if it's gonna just cause us pain. So these infinite hopes and limitless thoughts and ideas are also not our own. So that's another thing that I've been focusing on. They are being created in me. This endless desire, these unlimited potentialities, as a sign that if they are making me feel pained, that's not the point. They're being created to signal that whoever is creating them can also fulfill them. So that was kind of my reflection on the fifth point. If anyone else would like to share any reflections from the week, please go ahead. And if not, we'll start reading the sixth point, inshallah.
Assalamualaikum. This just came to me right now as I thought I had no comment, but then when I looked at the screen and I saw the word realization of eternal happiness, it just occurred to me that as Noor was sharing the reflections, and we're starting to feel or notice what we incline towards. Dr. Yamina clarified, and it's the word in Arabic has been something I've been wanting to look more deeply into. Desire, inclination in Arabic is mail, and I know this word occurs in the Quran. So we are, as we interact with the world and the happenings of the world, we feel strong inclinations, like I don't know what, I don't even know how we can say it, but there's this like gravitational or a very strong inclination that pulls us, or and so realization there, as we're feeling those things get activated inside. Nursi Allah yarhamu, rahimahullah, is sharing that the conscience, there should be like a watching, you know, it's so easy to get stuck in the feeling, and Dr. Yamina emphasizes this so much. So may we collectively experience a shift. The conscience. Okay, let's just read that last sentence. It's so beautifully said. Man's nature, which cannot lie, which we are feeling, speak and share these inclinations, or sometimes like shout these inclinations through the major disappointments or the major desires and hopes. And I don't want to say those words, desires and hopes, because I know that the text actually makes them way more substantial. And the definite, intense, unwavering inclination that we are witnessing come up often, if not several times a day, for perfection, for things to be good all of the time. It's within our makeup. That should inspire the conscience. That means something should wake up when I notice myself getting pulled again to, oh, I wish this didn't happen, or I wish things could be like this, or I'm upset because things are not like this and I want them to be like this. We're saying this all day, but we're saying the statements, I don't want to say one-dimensional or whatever it would be, but we're not saying it while being conscious. Let me speak for myself. I am not being conscious when I'm saying it. Inspire the conscience with certainty. So that those words alone are very big. When we're feeling an inclination get activated again, that really it's happening all the time. I'm laughing at myself because it's like as though it's not, it's constantly, whatever it is inside always wants perfection. In fact, the judging voice is just judging when things are not perfect because that is like the inclination is for things to be easy and beautiful and perfect. And so in reality, yani, everything that we're experiencing points to this reality that Nursi is bringing to our attention with all of these points and all of this experience and all of these words. Certainty concerning, inspire the conscience with certainty concerning the realization. Like, are we realizing that what is really communicating when these inclinations are active is the eternal breath within me that is dalil, it is the evidence, it is the proof. And so certainty is there, right? If we're conscious, if the conscience is inspired through just realizing, just noticing that my likes and my dislikes are because of this embedded eternal breath from the eternal one. Um, yeah. So I'm gonna pause there. That's beautiful.
Thank you, Sarah. I think that was another important thing from last week, which is that if I have a need or a complaint because things aren't going perfectly without fault, without flaw, um, where did I get that concept anyway in the first place? So it must be placed in me from somewhere else because we have never known perfection in this world. But we constantly want it and incline towards it. So it's a good messenger. Okay, so let's get started on the sixth point. As always, you can raise your hand or ask questions. I was thinking of this analogy, so please be charitable with it. But I'm thinking the way we approach the text has to be like a date. Okay, so imagine we're going on a date with the text. So we have to ask questions to learn more about it. We can't just let it speak at us. So the more we engage, the more we're going to benefit from it, inshallah. So if it's your first time reading Nursi, or if you're only reading it with us, with the group, please feel free to send your questions. You can send them to me or Sarah individually if you don't want to share with the whole group. We will address them, and inshallah, like other people might have the same question, it'll open up the text more.
Just an addition
Yes.
to what you just said, Noor. The questions needs to be inspired from the reading and not any question I had about anything remotely related, or I see a word there that reminds me of something. Oh, I had a question about this, and bring it there. That won't take us anywhere. I'm reading the text and I will be inspired with questions, because I don't take for granted that, oh yes, I know this, I understood. No, what does it mean? Why is it so? And so that it's an interaction, as you said, with the text, engaging the text, not just asking questions randomly. Just wanted to re-emphasize that point, inshallah.
Yes, Dr. Yamina, thank you. So we want to stay focused on the text, because otherwise the discussion can get carried away. So the more we focus, obviously don't force it if you don't have any questions, but if you do, related to his phrasing or any ideas that come up, please don't feel shy. And Sarah is she's looking at if anyone's raising their hand and stuff, so we'll see that. Okay, inshallah, we can get started. And then let's see where we can go. Sixth point. The mercy of the all-beauteous maker of these beings, who is the all-merciful, all-compassionate one, points to eternal happiness. The mercy of the all-beauteous maker of these beings, who is the all-merciful, all-compassionate one, points to eternal happiness. Yes, it is of the nature of that mercy which makes bounty bounty and saves it from revenge, not to withhold from man eternal happiness, which delivers beings from the anguish of eternal separation. For if eternal happiness, the head, chief, aim, and result of all bounties, is not given, and if after dying the world is not resurrected in the form of the hereafter, all bounties would be transformed into desire for revenge. And such a transformation would necessitate denying the existence of divine mercy, which is self-evident and necessary, and through the testimony of all the universe, unquestionable and manifest. It is a constant truth more brilliant than the sun. Look and take note of the bounties of love, compassion, and reason, some of the manifestations and subtle traces of mercy. Suppose that eternal separation and unending parting are going to drag out human life. You will see that tender love becomes a great calamity, sweet compassion a great misfortune, that luminous reason a great tribulation. That is to say, mercy, because it is mercy, cannot confront true love with eternal separation. Since the second truth of the 10th word has demonstrated this fact most beautifully, we cut this short here.
Before we open the text to discussion, I just wanted to note that The word for bounties, the original word is ni'ma, so you could say blessings. And the word for revenge is actually not revenge. It's actually niqma, which is the opposite of ni'ma, which we could say, what's the opposite of blessing? Misfortune, maybe. So there is no revenge and no desire for revenge. The word is niqma, which is the antonym of ni'ma, of blessing. So if you read it accordingly, inshallah.
Yeah, I think revenge might be a bit hard conceptually, but when we think about opposite of blessing, that makes a lot of sense to me.
No, there's no revenge at all. It's a
Yeah.
mistake in the translation.
Right. So the argument here is the mercy of the all-beauteous maker points to eternal happiness because it is in the nature of that mercy to retain blessings and prevent them from becoming the opposite of a blessing.
I see that sentence is also a little bit difficult too.
This one?
Yeah, so maybe if we can say, yes, it is in the nature, in the sha'an. It is the function of that mercy, which makes bounty or blessing into blessing, ni'ma into ni'ma, and saves it from becoming a misfortune, the opposite of ni'ma, to not withhold from man eternal happiness, which delivers being from the anguish of eternal separation. I think for me, it becomes easier to follow.
So it's only a blessing if it's actually eternal, right? I think that makes sense. If and that's a function of the creator's mercy. So I think that's there's two things here. One is this idea that if any bounty or blessing is limited or it's inevitably going to end in nothingness, I can't really enjoy it as a blessing. So for it to actually be considered a blessing, it has to be eternal. And then this reality is a function of the creator's absolute mercy.
Rahma.
Rahma. Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum, sisters.
Hi,
Naba. I'm sorry that I have been, I'm sorry that I haven't been able to attend for a while.
No, we're happy to have
Thank
you
you.
back.
Thank you that you're still doing this. Alhamdulillah. I really love that self-evident was used in this paragraph. The definition of self-evident is something that doesn't need
The sound cut off for me. Is it okay with everyone else?
No, it's cut off for me too.
Oh, it cut off too. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Am I back?
Yes, you're back now.
Okay. So what I love about self-evident being used in this paragraph is that it points to, it brings about a truth that we confirm in our human experience. So if anything that we experience is other than what we experience that as our first inclination, then we're like in this illogical universe, basically. For example, when babies are born and they get to experience being held by their mothers or drinking milk for the first time, they, without questioning it, feel that experience as wonderfully good. They accept it. It is good. This is right. Yes, I should be held. I should be nursed with milk. I should be loved. Children all naturally open themselves to love. Yes, of course, no question about it. It is, it works for their senses, it works for their emotions, it works for their psychology. Everything about the situation seems right. If we said that, but oh, actually, that whole experience that you just had of being born into your mother's arms and being nurtured, that was all actually like a bad thing, but you didn't realize that. It was all actually wrong and wrong. Everyone would say, "What do you mean? I've been like totally lied to my entire life, like, or I was my inclination as a child to receive love, to receive the care of my parents was off, misconstrued." It would be something that we would automatically reject. Like, no, that's not normal. Of course, I was programmed in me to receive these things happily. And that is what I think this paragraph for me is pointing to, that we come into this life already programmed to love the many, many things that are given to us. And we determine their blessings. We notice that in them. We love the things that are in them. And we do it without much persuasion at all. We just naturally know that this is good. And I think that looking at that reality from the bird's eye view is a proof that it can't be that all of a sudden everything you thought and experienced and knew to be true was all just make believe in the end, or you had it all wrong. That would be entirely illogical. So thank you.
Go ahead, Sarah.
Thank you, Inaba, for clarifying that. I love the baby example. It's very obvious to bring the text to life. And what came to me that piggybacks sort of off of what you said and brings us back to the first sentence. So a lot of people share that the Nursi text is dense and sort of difficult to receive, and I agree. I mean, I've been with this Nursi text for some time, and so it just takes time to just be patient and sit with the words, because I feel like he was inspired word by word. So each word is really weighty, to say the least. So just the first two sentences brought me great pause, especially after what Inaba said. So I'll start with the second part, second sentence first, to help us kind of come back to this very big, beautiful opening sentence that he says. So what makes a blessing, a ni'mah, a blessing. And so Inaba mentioned it. A blessing is a blessing to me if I like it. If I'm made to like it, then I consider it a blessing. If I like this fruit, it's a blessing. If you know, that's the easiest sort of level. If it's beneficial, if you love it, if you enjoy it. So something programmed me with this love for or enjoyment, and then gives the thing to bring me that joy, and then makes the joy inside. And so if you think about it as the easiest analogy is like a parent. You know something is going to bring the child joy. You know the child and you know what brings them joy. And then so you make something specifically for that child to bring them joy. Then what does that say about the one who did that? So much love. Like, all compassionate one, all beautiful maker, all beauteous maker, all merciful. And the word mercy points to this very tender, affectionate love that's very unconditional and caring. So, and this is something that I have to give credit to Dr. Ali, because he said he brought this to my attention very clearly. If there's something that you love, you like, if we're going to be very honest with what we enjoy, we want it to be permanent. So he's always saying, like, don't be cheap with, your likes or your what you enjoy. Don't be cheap, because actually, if you're honest, if you're clear, what you like, you want it forever. It's an eternal. Every like is an eternal like. Because if I want, okay, food, delicious food today, but for the rest of the days it's cut off from me, it's not true. Whatever I like necessarily is attached to an eternal need for that. So don't be cheap means don't be horizontal, thinking that you just want whatever it is on this plane. That is such a lie, because very quickly we realize when it's taken away, which is also a blessing for us to realize the eternity part of it. We were sad now because the separation is a blessing, because then we realize with even more keen fervor the awakening of the eternal desire. And he needs to awaken that in us to keep the reality in our perceptive reality, a realization. Everything that we enjoy, it's like you can almost smile and laugh at that joy, because you know it points now to eternal. It's the eternal thing inside speaking. And it's true, because anything you name that you enjoy today, if it was ripped away from you tomorrow, you would be extremely, it's only a blessing when it's eternal. Because then when it's taken away, you're very sad. I think that's the gist of the paragraph. It's
Not only we are sad, but if we were sure, if or somehow we knew that that's it, this will never be back, then there is no hope. Then it becomes like that act that we enjoyed was a cruelty. It's like giving you something and then taking it forever from you. It's better to not even be aware of that thing than having that experience, tasting it, and then you're told, that's it. Now you never have it. It's like torture, cruelty. I just, something came to my mind when, Sarah, you mentioned that people say it's difficult to read, but it is difficult for a reason. If you have noticed in all this 29th word, especially these points, in the first aim and the second aim, we're learning to look at the world, to look at created beings, created things, created events from a new perspective, from the Malakut perspective, from the perspective that looks to the meaning of things, that indicates something beyond, from the perspective of everything being an ayah. So in a way, we're learning to notice. We are not still reading, but we are learning to notice how everything, all created beings and things and events, are meaningful. It means they carry meaning, they carry important messages. We are looking now, for instance, at mercy or at blessing. We say this is a blessing and we carry on our life, but what makes it what is a blessing? What makes it a blessing? What does it mean that it is a blessing? How is it related to me? And how is it related to the meaning of life, the purpose of our being here in this life? So we're learning to notice how they are meaningful and they carry important messages from the unseen, and how they are speaking of their maker and how they are making him known. They are bearing witness to him, to his beautiful names. Like here, mercy, there is beauty. We see the compassion, the rahmah, but this rahmah is infinite. It points to infinity. It points to many other things related to us, to our life, to the purpose of our life, the meaning of our life here, now, always. And that's what we actually, everything we are busy with is to somehow address that need for eternity, but not any eternity, eternal happiness, eternal meaningfulness, eternal purpose. So they are bearing witness to the purpose of creation, to the purpose of our life, of who we are, what we are doing here. They are guiding us. They are teaching us how to bear witness, how to perform the shahada. So in a way, we are learning the Iqra bismi rabbik. Bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. It is not easy. The whole Quran is teaching us from one perspective, is teaching us to read, how to read ayats, how to engage them at the malakuti level. And as we are doing that, we are also overcoming our illusions, our delusions, our limiting false beliefs, and we are living from the heart, from the ruh that knows that it is being sustained, created here and now, doesn't claim anything, can only claim our needs. Anything else is our delusions when we are in ghafla. So that's the purpose of shahada. That's why it's so central, is what is going to bring all this together. This reading of the creation is not simple. That's why when we read something like this, like in Nursi, it seems like, oh, got bored. What do you mean? Blessing is blessing. Okay, so now tell me, there is akhirah? Of course there is akhirah. I'm a Muslim, I believe in akhirah. No. You are learning to become a Muslim, to surrender to the reality. You're learning to confirm the truthfulness, the reality of akhirah here and now, living it. First, he's saying in this is to understanding at least intellectually. But then if we go take this and reflect on these truths, we can confirm them on a deeper level and bear witness to this truth, not only at ilm al-yaqeen, the certainty of knowing, the certainty of knowledge, but also ayn al-yaqeen, as though we are seeing it, the eye of certainty, and the haqq al-yaqeen, the truth of certainty. We're experiencing it. Yes, I am living it. I'm experiencing it. I am sure it is. So when I read the ayah in the Quran, I say, yes, Sadaqallahu al-Azim, I confirm that what Allah is saying, telling me here, it is indeed the truth, because I am living it. I'm living, I'm reading, experiencing all the evidences. So that is not an easy, how do you say, process to go through if we are living on autopilot and taking everything. We're not denying, but we're not confirming either. Not denying is not Iman. Not denying is not denying. That's it. It's good. It's better than denying, but it's not yet confirming anything. Belief means the heart feels, and so we start living accordingly with the reality of akhirah here and now. Not when I die, maybe. No, right now I know. So every act, at least, that's our, how do you say? Once we know that, it becomes our choice. But the more we are certain of akhirah, the more how we view events, how we interact with the world starts transforming and changing, and our choices also will change accordingly. Our relationship with the Quran and with the world will change. So this, reading this text, that's why it is not easy, not because the language, no, in any language it won't be easy. Do you think reading the Quran is easy? Unless you're just reciting and going through. If you want to read and confirm, then it's not easy, because it is about living, experiencing, confirming, changing, making choices every day, leaving the comfort of the ego, letting go of all our claims that are based on lies, the lies that we call shirk. We don't do it on purpose, but that's not, how to say, a good excuse. Just because someone did not make the decision to fail a class, it doesn't make that person not fail the class. Because it says, but I never chose or made the decision, I'm going to work hard to fail the class. Yeah, but have you made the decision to pass the class? So here it's about making the decision to be a conscious believer. And as we are told in the Quran again and again, that's the only believer. There is no unconscious believer. You can't be unconscious and believer at the same time. Just wanted to share this point, inshallah. So it is normal that it feels hard and it shouldn't be deter us from carrying on, inshallah.
Yes, that's important. It's important to remember that this text is inspired in such a way from somebody who reached, by Allah's mercy, a realization that shifted his experience with all matter. Every single creation, he witnessed eternity, the reality, God, with such fine resolution that the text is to inspire the reader with conviction, like using reason to confirm with conviction the truth of what he's experiencing. So yes, it's, once you say it that way, it's important, because it's not just a text to get through the paragraphs. If we can take one point and internalize it, it would drastically shift the way that we see blessings and that we see pain. Oftentimes it's easy to see them both horizontally without this training, and without the Quran's training and the students of the Quran and how they, internalize that in their perceptual life. Yeah.
I think one thing that brings me back to Inaba's point is the words we see in the text are picked very carefully. So obviously, this is a translated form of the original, and Dr. Yamina is helping us get the original so that we kind of understand. But this idea, and we've seen in all the points up till this point, there are certain claims that the author is making about his worldview, right? The existence of divine mercy, which is self-evident and necessary. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, sorry about that. To me, that's making me ask myself, do I see divine mercy as self-evident and necessary? Like Dr. Yamina was saying, is my experience here and now confirming that divine mercy, or am I just saying, of course, God is merciful, he is all compassionate, but in my day-to-day life, that belief holds no weight. So I still feel like whenever I am inconvenienced or sad or frustrated, I just feel like, oh, where's the mercy in this? So if I'm living life like that, then it seems that I'm missing this view that divine mercy, the existence of it, is self-evident and necessary. So that's like one way that I'm approaching the text also. What is the worldview he's coming to this with that makes this thought like actually stand? Because if I don't actually see that divine mercy is self-evident and necessary, then I'm not going to kind of make it to the next step. Okay, so that go
Can
ahead.
I make a comment?
Of course.
So it's interesting that, like, once our perspective is changed about Akhirah keeps coming back again and again, because there is need for eternity, things change. And It was very interesting to me when I was realizing that Asian culture believes in reincarnation, and with the idea that the soul, like, when someone, passes on, the soul goes into another body in another shape. And then after that body passes, it goes to another body in another shape. And then it's all gonna come together. So bear with me. And then there was this idea that those who actually know and believe in that their soul will be coming, be moving from another body, they were speaking about, like, their experience that when something is difficult, like, they say it's okay because my soul is going to endure this for a while, but then it will come into another body after that. So it won't endure it forever. And when they lose someone, they would also say, it's okay because when my soul leaves this body and goes into another body, I will meet that person. And I found that very interesting. Like that someone can find comfort in this concept. And here Quran teaches us that our soul, like, it's not reincarnation. It's like all through our life, our body changes, and then one life begins and one life ends. Your childhood begins and ends, and then now the same soul is in your youth body, and then it begins and ends. And then from your youth body to your young adulthood body, it begins and ends. And if you can think of each of these as a life that has its challenges, its moments of happiness that you want to carry on to your next life, like to your next phase, and the moments of despair that you need to remind yourself that this is not going to stay forever. And then until that that last moment where you're carrying it to actually what Quran teaches us, like the final eternal life. And that the more we believe in that, it changes everything. Because here I am seeing people who are finding comfort in believing it on a very limited scale, and finding comfort. And yet Allah comes and teaches us that this is reality. This is the reality, that your body changes. You start and end. There's life and death in every day, every month, every period of life. And that what you want to be eternal throughout your life and eternal after this life in dunya will be. And the proof of it is in your need for it to be eternal. And the comfort is in the more you believe in it, the more you're comforted. I never made the connection between, I always dismissed reincarnation, but now I'm thinking about it. There must have been an understanding about how the soul stays, and in akhirah comes in a new body, but it's the same soul, that made this theory like an Asian kind of belief theory. Jazakallah khair. As this discussion was going on, this is what came to my heart.
Well, so Alia, it points, for me, what you said, it just points to the unwavering, intense, definite, not even desire, but inclination, need. Yani, that is with definite certainty that this can't be it. There must be a continuing. And so, Yani, what it points to is what we're discussing here. That feeling of needing to continue on with the ones that we love points with definitive proof to this speaking reality within us that is undeniable. If only that we knew that that is the dalil, yani, that is the evidence.
One dalil, let's say.
One, yeah.
One among many.
Yeah. One point, but a big point that it's inside saying that yani, it's because we are not the last sentence that he said about the realization. There needs to be a realization. There has to be the conscience has to be awakened, like so that you see.
You are
Pe-
now referring to the fifth point, right?
yeah, that's not okay. You're right. Please, Noor, take us along before we go back.
They are, that's good because that shows how they are connected. And that's, as you said, it is an important point because it relates to the self, which is in the beginning when we are reading the signs in the universe, when we witness the mercy and that the mercy necessitates eternal happiness and that the order in the universe necessitates and the wisdom, they all necessitate eternal happiness. Eventually we will realize that something is reading the signs, understanding, witnessing, confirming, and that's the self. And so we are doing it by means of our needs. As he said before, those needs are like hands and tools with which we can interact with the rest of the creation and grasp the meaning. And so it's an important part of all this because it's what connects everything together. And the higher or the more conscious we are, the more we realize that there is something witnessing something out there. In the beginning, it seems like there is me witnessing out there, and eventually we start seeing that we are all from one single source. Like, let's not go there. But we can see that how the self is doing the witnessing and the reading, and therefore it is one part of the puzzle, but it's an important part of it because it's what brings everything together. The Quran, the creation, the witnessing of the creation, the prophet, the witnessing of the teaching of the prophets.
One thing that came to me before we go on to the seventh point about Alia's point was also that they did this kind of study where they were studying young girls, and in an effort to encourage them, their parents would say like, you can do anything, you know, just nothing can stop you, stuff like that, because the parents believed that their daughters thought of themselves as unable to do those things. But what they found in the research was that until the parent says that, those girls never had thought themselves incapable. So even though they thought they were encouraging their kids, especially their daughters, they were actually putting the idea in their head that, well, because you're a girl, people might say you can't do this, but on the contrary, you can. But until they actually say that, the girls had never thought that. So I was thinking that because Alia said, okay, so you're seeing a sort of resurrection, right? As Nursi is saying also, in the different stages of your life. So we have to experience and confirm and actually consciously witness those things. Because if out of nowhere, if we weren't experiencing those things and we were told to believe in a resurrection, it wouldn't make sense. if we had no proof whatsoever that we could confirm in our day-to-day life, in our own experience, we couldn't make sense of this idea of resurrection. But there's plenty of things we can draw on that can kind of make us confirm and have conviction and certainty that, okay, if I am going through stages of resurrection in my own life at 20 years, 30 years, 50 years of life, then that's a little sample of what resurrection at a larger scale can be like. Okay, we're at 9:06. Let's read the 7th point, and I think we'll stop at 8 today. Bismillah. All the exquisiteness, all the virtues, all the perfections, all the attraction, all the yearning, all the compassion known and seen in the universe are meanings, significations, immaterial words. They necessarily and self-evidently show to the heart and thrust in the mind's eye the manifestations of the all-glorious Maker's favor and kindness, benevolence and munificence. Since there's a truth, a reality in this world, most certainly there's true mercy. And since there's true mercy, there will be eternal happiness. The 4th truth of the 10th word, and also the 2nd truth, have illuminated this fact as clearly as daylight.
I guess for me, the sentence that said, and since there is mercy, like as Yamina was saying, the need for eternal happiness is one point, and this is here another point. Since there is true mercy, because we're seeing true mercy everywhere, then if there is true mercy that we see, then there should be eternal happiness, because there cannot be any true mercy without eternal happiness. So that is another point.
My attention goes just to the first sentence. And alhamdulillah, like I really, the more that we go and, read him in this way, the more my heart is filled with gratitude and appreciation, because, you're thinking about a human being who wrote this, all the exquisiteness. I don't know anybody who speaks that way, not a single person. All the virtues, it's like wherever he was writing from, he was sitting somewhere looking at the world and saw exquisiteness, 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 all the exquisiteness. And imagine someone who really lived like that. All the perfections. It's just, Yani, it comes to me the image that you love, just somebody looking out there in the world and sees left, right, up and down, perfection, 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 perfection. Like, this is Yani, we're reading somebody's almost like a diary, right? Like something so intimate of how he was looking at everything. And Yani, out of this intense love that is implanted in his heart to get this message out quick to as many people as possible, they have to know. They have to be able to discover this quick, Yani. Then here are these words landing on us, however many decades later, a century maybe at this point. All the yearning, all the attraction, all the compassion known and seen. Yani, so you are the seer. You're looking at the sky, the vastness, exquisite. The sun, exquisite. The stars, exquisite. Virtues. For me, I don't know what the Arabic, or Dr. Yamina, you can help us. I think of like the qualities just things being communicated to me, beauty, majesty, power, light, illumination, all the attraction. Something inside of me pulls me to it. Something inside of me loves. I think of you, Alia, again, looking at the sun, and all of a sudden, there's this incredible attraction. Something pulls me to this incredible experience with the sun. So there's some sort of magnetic something attraction between something in me and something in the sun, or the ocean, or the sky. And then there's a yearning. Yeah, all of these things are like married, like the yearning is inseparable all of the time, like Dr. Yamina was just sharing. It's always there. This is so perfect. I wish it could be like this all the time, even without words. All of these things in the universe are 1929. So yeah, subhanAllah, almost a century. SubhanAllah. Our meanings. Okay, so word by word, a meaning. Something is talking to me. So he's over there looking at this exquisiteness, feeling an attraction, feeling a yearning that's so, and this is not just one experience. Then you see that you copy paste that same thing with the person and the smile and the sun and the wind and the food and the all of it, all of it, all of it is, let's not even say the word meaning, right? Because we try to renew the language since we've been studying in Halakha for so long. Is something communicating to me a message? Something is talking to me. It's such a loaded experience with so many feelings. Signification, signifying something, yani something is trying to tell me something. You see, I like these words because it's not like is a message from your creator. Like it is the subtlety of the language is like Dr. Yamina was saying, to help you start to just feel in a subtle way that when I love something and when I appreciate something, there's something subtle there being communicated to me. And I love the word immaterial words the most. Immaterial, yani. You see? You see even the word immaterial. Something that has nothing to do with everything that it has nothing to do with the sun, actually. It's immaterial, so the sun is material. Immaterial words. And the only thing that came to me with that is something a friend spoke to me who was a convert, and may Allah bless him, shared that everything that you experience, well, once he learned about this methodology through our teachers, Dr. Yamina and Dr. Ali, I remember how grateful he was, like finally everything he was feeling in this exquisiteness of the world, a stargazer he was also. He felt like, oh, finally, yes, it makes sense, the immaterial word. So when the exquisiteness of the sun, for example, then he says, okay, then it points to an exquisite one, and that quality is constant. It's he says later on, a truth, a reality, the true mercy. It reminded me of that word. Immaterial words reminded me of something constant is true because it doesn't change. For me, what comes to me for immaterial words is something constant that doesn't change, that speaks to you, because yeah, he's telling you about all these feelings that you're having. so it is this self-evident, again, the word, show to the heart, you see? It's not just it's something to feel. And thrust in the mind's eye. I'm going to pause because I'm not, Dr. Yumin, I would love anything you can add because I know has a lot to say and I don't know what the original was, but significations and thrust in the mind's eye and anything else that comes to you, inshallah.
Maybe we can leave it for next week. Just wanted to make one remark in when he says all the exquisiteness, all the virtues, all the perfections, all the attraction, all the yearnings, all the compassion. Here but it's difficult to translate, so let's leave it like that. Known and seen in the universe are each a meaning, a signification, an immaterial. Each of them. There is how to say, an emphasis in the original. Each is. And the constant, sorry, I couldn't find it again. Where was the constant?
I said that immaterial and true mercy reminded me of something constant when he said true.
Oh. So it was not in this that he said that there is a constant truth. Was it in the sixth one?
I don't think that word was there either.
There was something about constant. Yes, it was in the sixth one at the end.
Ah, yes.
Because the constant truth in other places always indicate the beautiful names of God. It's the only constant truth. Behind everything, the only constant is the beautiful names of God.
Okay, so maybe we will restart with the seventh point next week. Just because,
Inshallah.
yeah, that might be nice.
Jazakumullah khair.
Jazakallah, everyone. I think this is a good place to stop then. Inshallah, I will stop the okay, let me do the prayer. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Akhiru da'wahum and alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Al-Fatiha ala rasulina salawat.